The whispering shell and the map of tides Leo was a collector of treasures. Not gold or jewels, but the kind the ocean left behind. Twisted pieces of driftwood that looked like sea serpents, smooth green sea glass, and the most perfect shells. His best friend Maya was an explorer. She loved climbing the gnarled oak tree at the edge of the cliff to see the farthest horizon. One stormy afternoon, after the waves had calmed to a grumble, they were combing the beach of Sandy Cove. The wind still whistled. "Look!" Maya pointed. Half buried in the wet sand was a shell unlike any they had seen. It was large, swirled with mother of pearl, and shaped like a unicorn's horn. Leo carefully picked it up. "It's beautiful." "Shh," Maya said, her eyes wide. "Listen." Leo held the shell to his ear. Instead of the usual soft whoosh of the sea, he heard a faint, clear voice, like tiny bells. "The high tide hides, the low tide shows, the path to where the moon glow grows." As the voice finished, the shell glowed with a soft blue light. A thin, silvery map, drawn on what felt like seaweed, unrolled from its tip and floated into Leo's hand. It was the map of tides. It showed their very own cove, with a dotted line leading to a tiny hidden beach called Starlight Cavern. In the center of the cavern was drawn a flower that seemed to shimmer on the page, the moon glow. "We have to find it," Maya whispered, her explorer heart pounding. "This is the best treasure ever," Leo agreed, his collector heart leaping. According to the map, the entrance to Starlight Cavern was only visible when the tide was at its absolute lowest, which gave them just 1 hour before the sea would seal it off again. They raced along the shore past the big rock that looked like a sleeping walrus, and around the bend where the prickly pear bushes grew. The map led them to a wall of tangled seaweed and barnacles. "It's a dead end," Leo said, his shoulders slumping. Maya, ever the explorer, pushed aside the heavy curtain of seaweed. "No, it's not. Look." Behind it was a dark, narrow opening, just wide enough for them to squeeze through. The air inside was cool and smelled of salt and mystery. They flicked on their flashlight. A true explorer always carries one. The cavern was breathtaking. The walls were studded with crystals that glittered in the beam of light. But it was the pool in the center that made them gasp. The water glowed with a soft, ethereal light, and in the middle of the pool, on a small pedestal of rock, grew the moon glow. It was a single flower, with petals that looked like they were woven from moonlight and dewdrops. It pulsed with a gentle, calming light. "We found it," Leo said, his voice full of wonder. But as they waded into the shallow pool, a rumbling voice echoed through the cavern. "Who disturbs the guardian of the glow?" From the shadows at the back of the cave, a large, grumpy-looking lobster emerged. He was the size of a small dog, with antennae that twitched and claws that looked very, very snippy. "I am Claudius," the lobster boomed. "The moon glow is not a treasure to be taken. Its light keeps the balance of this cove. It helps the lost fish find their way and makes the seaweed forests grow. If you take it, the magic will fade." Leo's hand, which had been reaching for the flower, stopped. He looked at the beautiful, glowing flower, and then at the grumpy but noble Claudius. He thought about the treasures he collected in his room, sitting on a shelf, and how this treasure was alive and important. Maya put a hand on his shoulder. "He's right, Leo. Some treasures aren't for keeping." Leo nodded, his heart feeling both disappointed and right. "We understand," he said to Claudius. "We just wanted an adventure." Claudius's stern expression softened. "And an adventure you have had. But to protect a wonder is the greatest adventure of all." Just then, they heard the sea beginning to roar outside. The tide was coming back in, fast. "Quickly!" Maya cried. "The entrance will flood!" They splashed out of the pool and scrambled back through the narrow tunnel, the sound of rushing water right behind them. They tumbled out onto the main beach just as a wave crashed against the seaweed curtain, sealing the cavern once more. They sat on the sand, catching their breath, watching the sun begin to set. "We didn't get a treasure," Leo said softly. Maya smiled. "Yes, we did." She pointed to the swirling, pearlescent shell, which Leo was still clutching tightly. "We have the shell and we have the story. And we're the secret guardians of the moonglow. That's better than any jewel." Leo held the shell to his ear. The whispering voice was back, but this time it was different. "Brave hearts, true and kind, the greatest treasure you did find." The shell glowed warmly in his hand, and he knew it was a different kind of magic. The magic of a secret and a friendship that had passed a great test. They walked home as the stars.